right off the bat, big whitetail deer make people do dumb stuff. I say dumb. They make people do things that they probably shouldn't do. And every one of these, you think about every year or two, and I'm talking about world-class deer, every year or so, depending on where you are, you see that picture. Somebody in your area, somebody in your state killed a giant, and that's all. Right. Look, it's happy. It's good for the hunter. The hunter's real happy, but I guarantee you in every one of those scenarios,
there's a consequence.
There's a dark side.
There is. No question.
And that's what, look, we're going to hit on the dark side of giant whitetails because we've got some stories.
And what people do to go through to kill them.
Yeah, and relationships that are changed forever.
Yes.
Hunting rights may be lost. Hunting leases lost.
And
jobs
lost. The way we hunt changes forever.
And in some cases, criminal.
Yeah.
Look. Yeah. Look again. Every few years, that CJ boy that killed that giant, gonna be a state record, either Wisconsin, Ohio,
killed it inside of a.
Well, the story, I think they relocated it and claimed to kill it on sister's 5 acres. But
then they come back and found out it's killed in a state park. You get something all the time.
There's always.
But big deer will make you do craziness.
And we're talking about. If you watch on YouTube, we got a set of antlers in front of us.
Yes, these
world-class deer.
World-class deer, and we're going to get into this story, but you're looking at the Mississippi typical state record if it was scored.
And that's the year before the deer was killed.
That's the year before it was killed. 181 inches with no inside spread.
Yeah, that's not giving it anything, not giving an inch for inside spread.
So we might as well dive into it.
Let's dive into it. All right, look, we appreciate y'all. This is the Woodsman Perspective. I'm Brent. We got Chris. We got a special guest. Good friend of ours, David Wilson. David's got unfortunately, he's got sort of a first-hand account. It's bittersweet because killed one of the biggest deer around. He killed a deer of a lifetime, a world-class deer.
He was able to live
with
the glory, if you call it that, the glory of that deer, and we'll get into David's story in a little bit too. And it's circumstances.
It changes people.
It does.
It does, man. It
changes your perspective.
I want to say this up front before we get into stories. We're not going to try to out anybody or try to make anybody look bad.
No.
That's not what this is about. This is to point out that otherwise rational, good people would do things that they normally wouldn't do over that.
To kill one of these.
It gets you, sleepless night, it gets you. I've never hunted a deer like that.
No.
Now, I've lost sleep.
That's the deer that...
I've chased 150s that kept me up at night and made me want to do some things, but this is a whole different...
200-inch deer.
Yeah, this is a whole different ballgame. So I wanted to clear that up front. We're not going to try to out anybody, make anybody look bad, but the reality of it is...
These things happen all the time.
We all know somebody. You're listening, you're watching right now. You already are thinking about somebody
that guy.
Or a deer.
Yeah.
You're thinking about a situation because it's real.
Our family members.
Yeah.
Our hunting
Thanksgiving
club.
dinner's different every year after that. It changes
it takes
things.
A little bit of the luster off of the prize. The trophy's not as shiny.
The thing you thought you wanted your whole life, the thing you've hunted for your whole life, when it happens, if you get... I ain't saying it's the same for everybody, but in my case, if I could back up and do it again, I wouldn't pull the trigger on the deer.
Yeah.
And that's something. We're talking about 190 plus. This is a giant deer.
That kind of got me, what got this podcast to going, and I bounced off Brent. And when David told me that, it's really...
Yeah, look, you just don't...
Yeah.
You hear the story.
Got me thinking.
You'll hear the story, the management story, the story, whatever, the hunt story. You don't usually hear that the sad, the dark side.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, just about every one of them, there's some hurt feelings and there's stories around every one of them.
So this deer was found, a shed was found. Brent, is this one. So that shed was found on a 40-acre tract.
I got a hold one of them while you're talking about that.
In Lowndes County, Mississippi, okay? It's funny, but a good friend of mine, I grew up looking up to this guy. He's a good hunter. He's a good businessman. He was a good football player.
Good guy.
You know, Derek's solid guy. Always, if anybody's ever been around him, he's on top of things. He goes the extra mile on anything he does. OCD, some people call it. Some people call it determined. Okay.
He's our kind of people.
Competitive.
Yeah, he's competitive. He's going to go.
Adjective you want to put on.
You're not going to beat him. So he found that shed in 2009. The name.
Yeah, 8 or 9, right around there. Yeah,
right around there. So he's, look at that deer, world class. Well, another guy found the other side of it. He's in Macon, Mississippi. Well, this guy had one side. Derek had permission to be on this property turkey hunting. Hunting. I think the other guy was just maybe turkey hunting, and he found the other shed. So it put the bug in Derek to say, man, this is something here now. And Derek's a good hunter, hunts big deer.
Get a bunch of big deer. He's a big deer hunter.
He loves it. So he goes and next year, running cameras, boom, he gets a picture of it. Okay? He gets a picture of it. And
this is way before cell camera pictures and all.
If I'm guessing 4 or 5, 6.
Killed at 7.
And it killed at 7. That's what I think. Now, maybe
just don't have a lot of pictures to
maybe
go
he's
on.
a world class 4, 5, 6. I don't know. But
That's
I
tough.
think, Dave, you agree. You're a Delta guy. To get this big, he's got to have that age.
Absolutely.
This is free reign. This is free roaming deer.
Is that an 8-inch
probably,
base?
Yeah. It's a big one.
Big
Big as
looking at
it's big. As big as that Coke can.
27, 28-inch main beams.
Yeah.
Too.
So
it's
anyway,
he's 5 or 6 between his 2 and 3.
Right.
Yep.
He don't have, and it's only 40 acres of land. It's a 40-acre little block of woods. He had permission to hunt. So he's getting in there. He's making his plan. I know him. He's writing a plan to go by to kill this deer. So he runs his cameras early, and he gets 2 pictures of it on a 40-acre block. 2 pictures. He hunts it that whole year, just boom, 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 boom. I mean, when I tell you hunt it, he get in there an hour and a half before daylight. On days he wasn't working. He would sit in there to an hour and a half after dark because he
keep from blowing them out.
Well, he would hear deer come in. He
didn't want to bust them out.
Didn't want to bust them out. He wanted to do anything. He'd stay in there. Sometimes he said the moon be out, Chris, and to get out of there. Well, now when all this was going on, he wasn't telling me the story.
No,
he didn't hear about it.
Yeah, that's how a lot of these stories and the pieces get put together after.
A killer ain't gonna tell it to another killer, but I respect that. You got to be quiet about these.
I'm telling you,
You got to be quiet about these.
we'll go back to that a lot. It is
Yeah.
different when they're that big.
So he hunted it the whole year, and never saw it. Come time to the sheds, he had in his mind, I'm going out there and find them dang sheds.
absolutely.
There ain't no telling. I know him. He walked every tree on that 40 acres. And it's
Multiple times.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
He winds up finding
Found both sides.
of them. Boom. He wanted to get them. No squirrels get to them. He finds both of them. So now he sets this story in motion. I'm holding a
That's
180-inch deer without an inside spread. Okay? He knew. I mean, it's
Yeah.
state
So it's a
record.
196, 197.
Yeah. When the typical Mississippi record at the time was only about 186.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Glenn Jordan, I think, may have had it then. So he sets it in motion. He's hunting it. So the next year, he don't get any pictures of it. He hunts.
I'll say this. 2009, 10,
Yeah.
probably wasn't running a ton of cameras. Like people now, you
right.
could throw 10 cameras on that sucker, cell cameras, and find that deer probably now.
And
don't you think?
Oh yeah, ain't no question, because you didn't have cell phone cameras then.
They have changed the way we hunt.
Yeah, that's right.
And to
That's
put
right.
that many cameras
And,
that
yeah,
you
he
would
could
have to
find
walk in
them.
and check,
Somebody-
you'd be risking blowing it out. And that's probably why you wouldn't.
Somebody would have seen him. Because look, there's no surprises now, boys, on deer.
Yeah, we're going to get to that with these deer too. That's
So-
another point about these big deer.
He hunts this deer the whole year following these sheds. Same routine. He's not worried about it. Another deer, He's bypassed all of his other places for this, unless the wind wasn't right. No, Derek's gonna hunt the wind right. He's 40 foot up in a tree. He's peeing in jugs and hanging them up in the tree now. I'm telling you, this is how this guy hunts. This deer had just focused. His focus was on killing this deer. So it was about mid-December. And Derek had showed me a year prior, and Brent's going to put it out there. He showed me a picture of it. But he didn't tell me where it was at. I don't blame him. He said, Chris, what do you think this deer scored? I looked, I said, God, the money. I said,
A lot.
130.
I said, that's got to be over 180. He said, I think it's bigger than 180. Well, he didn't tell me he had the horns, you know. And anyway, but that's part of that old that old option, New Hope movie. You know, he didn't tell me he had the horns, and he already knew what it scored, but he was wanting to see what I thought, and he never said no more about it. Well, fast forward to, I get a phone call from a taxidermist, friend of ours, and he called me and said, Chris, where you at? I said, well, where do I need to be? And he said,
I get nervous when he used to call me, ask me where I was.
And he said, you need to come to my shop. I said, well, what you got? And he said, 200-inch deer. I said, really, where's it killed at, Kansas? He said, how about 4 miles from your camp? I said, you kidding me? I look like a state trooper. I slung that truck around the road. I went buzzing. So when I walk in, the deer's sitting over there where they cape the deer out and stuff on the table. Mm-hmm. So I walk in and I see it. I was like, good Lord. I mean, it's just, compare this one with 10 more inches of mass.
God.
And this horn here,
Didn't the kicker wasn't
turned up and went straight up like
the kicker off that too.
Yeah.
Like that one.
Yep. It double pitchfork. So I'm looking, I'm like, where'd this come from? He said, a guy in a cowboy hat pulled up in an LTD. Hell, that's right up my alley. I said, hell, that's my story right there, man.
My hero.
I said, what? He said, a guy pulled up, come in, real meek speaking, but he said, Chris, he knows what he's got. I said, why you say that? He said, because he told me as soon as I cape it out, he's coming back to get the horns. He said, so
he's smart.
Yeah, smart.
He's smart.
He didn't want to.
Yep.
He didn't want to.
Wasn't gonna get all over the internet.
Get on the internet and didn't want to do that. So I look at that deer and I'm just like, and then you know me, I got a memory like a dang elephant. And I said, I've seen that deer before. He said, what? He said, I said, I'm telling you, I've seen that deer. That's the deer Derek Lowry was chasing. He said, you think? I said, 100%. So I picked the phone up. I called Derek. He didn't answer. I hit him back in. You used the old 911 text. Remember that?
Yeah.
Called me 911. I don't know why we did that, but anyway. It was like the cops calling. He calls me back. I said, Larry, where you at? He said, he was somewhere. I said, look, I got the deer you've been hunting. He said, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean you don't know what you're talking about?
He forgot.
He forgot he showed me the picture. I said, well, I'll tell you what. He's a mainframe 9 with a 10-inch kicker, and his horn's as big as a Coke can. He said, where's he at, Chris? And I said, he's over at taxidermist. He said, I'll be there in 30 minutes. I said, okay. Well, 30 minutes, he comes, he pulls up. And
got his daddy with him.
Got his daddy with him, Mr. Jerry, which is, when we were kids, Mr. Jerry was a deer hunter, sharp guy, too. I mean, they got that relationship, David, is solid. They hunt together. Good, both good people. Derek walks in, and let me tell you something. He's as tough, pound for pound, back in school. He's my brother's age, but he was as tough as anybody there was. He was tough guy. He walked up to that deer, and I remember vividly standing there watching him, and he held him. He didn't tear up to cry. Well, it's kind of like Dave Owen said about the Cody.
About the guy defeated.
He was defeated. You could tell his color come back in his face.
Just out.
And he didn't say nothing. It was just like we were at a funeral. Mm-hmm. And I looked at him, and I knew then. The funny thing was me to make a smart comment, but I knew
wasn't the time.
It wasn't the time, because the man loved the game. Mm-hmm. He played the game, and he lost the game.
Yeah.
He gave everything he had to kill that deer. And his daddy, I remember it I've used it with my girls, and I just remember his daddy tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Son, I'm glad he's gone. You can go on with your life." and we laugh, but I mean, Derek's a businessman.
Non-hunter
he's got
won't get it.
10 or 15 people working for him, one of the biggest landscape businesses around. But that deer consumed, and I asked him one time, I said, "Derek, how much time?" He said, I don't know, Chris. I don't. And for years, he wouldn't talk about it. And then when this podcast come up, Dave, when you give me the idea, what you told me right out there on the porch, and you gave me the idea, I told Brent, I said, I'm finna call Derek. I want to talk to him and just see. And for him for me to be able to tell a story, because I was part of it, in a little piece of it, but he said, "I want you to come get the horns." He said, "I want you to show." He said the story means nothing without the horns.
Really, and he's right. So the story is just a story.
Yeah.
If you can't see that.
So we had a day to score it. So I said, "Look, let's get emotions out of the way. We're all three good. I mean, you can score a typical deer pretty easy, and we're good scorers. We've seen enough of them." So we sat down, me and him, taxidermist. We scored him. We scored him twice. The first time we scored him was 204 7/8. The second time we scored him was 203 and some change. So we took what we thought deduction. Not a lot of deductions. Mm-mm. He would whoop the state record by 5 or 6 points. But now we're dealing with a guy we didn't even know. This old man that killed it. We don't know where it was killed. But now you know me. Me being a land man.
Already working on it.
At mine, at a wheel. So I started just.
How long did it take?
I knew it in 2 days. Day and a half, I knew where he was at. I wasn't sitting where he shot it down at, but I knew I was within 100 acres of him. But, I didn't contact the guy, let it be. So during that time, we were doing all this deer tagging, Dave. You heard about it. We were tagging them and doing it. So I had a lot of state biologists were down here. Sharp guy, William McKinley, head of the
deer program manager now.
Land Wolf, sharp guy. Now he's within Department of Agriculture. But they was coming down here helping on the studies and everything. So about 6 months, a year went by. But it was in the back of my mind. So I talked to them. They were sitting right there at that table, and I said, "Look, guy, I got the state record deer killed in Lowndes County if the man will let me score it. Would y'all score it for me?" And I mean, their eyes like, "What?" I said, "I'm telling you, it's state record." They said, "Oh, come on." I said, "I'm telling you, I've held enough of them. It's as big as they get." He said, "We'll score it." And I said, "But he may not want to enter it. We may have to tear it up." But I said, "I'm prepared to do it." But I said, "I love deer, and I love Lowndes County, and I love the state of Mississippi. And
Big prairie deer.
I think it's need to be told, kind of like yours." And we bottle all the stuff up. Nobody knows, but anyway, they said they'll do it. I go to his house, knock on his door. He didn't have a cowboy hat on. That kind of
was the LTD in the yard?
LTD was there.
Missed the headlight.
No, it's a pretty good looking LTD. Had a little prairie mud on it. It's a good looking car. Back in the as good as LTD can get.
I figured roadkill.
And he I told him who I was. And I mean, it's weird you going up to a guy's house. He lived half a mile, 3/4 mile.
They back off the road. They're private
Way
people.
back in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Private folks stay themselves. Had several hundred acres of land. And joined the Black Prairie Management Area is where it joined it. So to get back to the story, from where this deer was shedding was 3.8 miles.
Where it was killed.
Where it was killed.
Where Derek was hunting that deer.
3.8 miles.
Yep.
Okay? Straight line, 3.8 miles. Cross a lot of different places to get there. What makes them do it, I don't know. You tell me. But that was the thing. I knocked on the door, the guy come. I told him who I was. He let me in. Good country people. And I said, "Look, I know about your deer." "Oh, you do?" I said, "Yeah. I was there when you brought it in." And I said, "Look, I'm not here wanting anything, but I want to throw something at you. we're doing all this study, and I showed him our program, our wildlife study and all that. I said, we're doing this because of these deer. We want to see how far they roam, how big they get. You've got the...
You got a good piece of data.
You've got the data. You've got what we want to grow. You've got what they grow in the Midwest and what we're trying to grow on farms that can survive this. And I said, he was sitting right there. I was looking at it. I told him why I had that eye on him, and I was looking for that snake over there, you know. And he said, well, it's a nice deer. And I said, look.
It's a nice deer.
And I was thinking, ugh. But I said, I've got 2 biologists down there that'll score it. They'll score it, and I told them beforehand that we'll tear the scorecard up if we get through. If you want to enter it, they'll enter it for you. If you don't want to do nothing, they won't do anything. And if you send me out the door, I'll turn around. I'm never going to bother you again. I'll never ask you. But I said, I think the respect of that animal,
Yeah.
the respect of that deer being that
It
world
warrants
class.
it. It warrants knowing what it did.
I said, just,
How did he get that?
how did he get
what
that?
Makes him be able to grow?
How could you support the state of Mississippi and you showing this? So we talked, and he hauled around, and he said, I don't want to be bothered. I said, okay. And I said, if you ever change, just let me know. You can call me, and I didn't get it done. I mean, it's been 10 years, more than that, I guess, 14 years. But, and it's, every time I ride by his house.
10 inches at least bigger than that.
Bigger than this one, yeah. 10 inches bigger than this one. And more typical. He lost some of this stuff and just, just, it's just what it is. But my buddy on the other side, old Derek, he's been in rehab. I'm just kidding. I mean, he's been in deer rehab.
Yeah, but it hurt.
Rehab.
It was tough,
hurts, man. It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts you, man. It's like you lost a. It's like you lost a pet. It's like you lost. And he still look. He does stuff. He's in. Got Huntland, Kansas.
Yeah,
killing big deer. I mean, he's still solid, but
look, that's a giant deer.
Oh man!
And so there's really nothing nefarious there. Nothing shady other than it just got in that psychologically. It got
right.
It got big. It consumed a guy. But there's some cases like there's one on your wall when you walk in. There's 180 mid 180s when you walk in right here.
Yes.
That
same kind of
that
deal.
deer got dramatic. Was that your first big? I mean,
that was one of the first world-class type deer I'd ever killed. And I had 5 acres. I mean, I felt like seat one. I had 5 acres to hunt. But it was mine. It was my 5. And look, the neighbors didn't like it, and I don't blame them. They'd been hunting it for years, and I had kind of got a foothold and bought some tracks.
And you were trying. You had 5 acres.
Yeah, but
you
I
were
had
trying
some
to piece some
tracks.
stuff together. That's right. So
stuff together, and
you wasn't the guy you talk about sometimes with the 2 acres in the backyard feeder.
Like no.
Yeah.
I was in the woods. I had a 20 and a 40, and this particular one, I had an interest in a track.
Yeah,
up to about 5 acres.
Point of clarification.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, but
I ain't hunting in the backyard.
It was controlled.
We can't run that guy down anymore. If also he's one of them.
But a guy that was before cell phones and cameras and all that stuff.
Man, you old man.
Man, I carried a climbing tree standing there, Brent. I mean, that's you parked and you walked, and you shot a compass to get your butt out. At that time, I thought Tibby, Mississippi was the wildest place I had ever been in my life. And I mean, it was just wild, Dave. No roads, solid big hardwood timber like the Delta. Anyway, I come in there one day and 7, 8 does come through, and I seen this rocking chair coming behind them, and I was climbing up the climber, and I looked, and there it was, and I laid across the top rail, and boom! And I always missed the first shot. I don't know why, but I've done that several times.
It's like I does that dove hunt now too.
I missed the first shot.
He's fair chase. He wants to give him a good sporting
what I
chance.
did, thank God them girls look good, because all he did was. And I'm gonna tell you, that second shot was dead. So he he hit the ground, and I went over. I was like, "Good God, what have I killed?" And just got like what you. I mean, just wow. I mean, here, look at here.
Yeah, I'll put a clip. I'll put a clip of it up right here.
I've dreamed it, but I've got to live it. So I loaded up by myself on a 4-wheeler, and I bring it out, and I wasn't gonna say a word, because it was some stuff going on. People that was leasing some of that land, and so I come on out of there with it, and a guy saw me at the gate. Always that dude at the gate, you know. So when he saw it, he couldn't wait to tell it. There wasn't no picture taken. It was just talking in.
Yeah.
So he's, "Oh, it looks like a moose." And I'm like, and
just trying to get back to New Hope.
If that would have been a 130-inch deer, you'd have rode the hair off of him driving around town.
I'd have drove him through.
That's a good point, Dave.
I'd have drove him
That's
through
a
New
good
Hope.
point.
I'd have drove him through New Hope till the tenderloins went bad on him.
A 180, you do a lot different. Like a 180, you get that, you're aware of what you got, and all of a sudden you get real clammy and secret.
Look,
If you're smart.
this deer cost me something that I'm not proud of. I brought him out, and next thing I know it, I'm getting a warrant for my arrest later down the road. And I was like, what? And they had got a guy to file some trespassing charges against me on my own property because we had to cross them. So I had to use the old noggin. So what they didn't know is I saw them cross me to get to theirs. So I showed up in court, and judge said, "Hey, the guy says you're trespassing." I said, "I own the land, sir." Judge, he said, "Well, I've known this guy. You know, you use one of them used car salesman judges." Mm-hmm. "Well, I've been knowing this guy. If he says you trespass. And I said, "Well, let me put it this way. It's hard to trespass on your own land, but this is your court, judge. But I tell you what I did do. I saw him and his brother down there on my property yesterday because I had it surveyed, and they were down there looking at the things. So they had to get on me. Well, they were sitting over there, my old big eyeball and my eyes. And the judge said, Did y'all go on that property yesterday?" I said, "Don't lie, fella. You was on a 3-wheeler. I saw you." And I pulled that old Fred Sanford move on him.
Old Bucko's a beat on him, huh?
You're right. But look, my ass was either finna be in the hot pokey house or you know, get. And the judge said, "Well, that ain't. You can't go across him, and you ain't gonna let him go across you." So I had the best attorney in the country, Aubrey. He wouldn't even let Aubrey talk.
The judge would.
No,
Judge got hot.
He was like, "I'm finna get smoked on a charge." Anyway, the judge said, "Look, we're gonna work this thing out," and he threw mine out, but I had to plug the old.
Got fingerprint.
Yeah, and the thumb. I mean, I
wonder if we can find your mugshot.
No, I don't.
Was it in the packet?
It would make a good shirt. You know, if I had it on there, it would make a pretty good shirt for like when I'm, turn the birthday. But yeah,
Tibby's most wanted.
So that started, and then what it did, it made me. I was young.
I bet that pissed you off.
And I was hot.
Ooh.
So I wound up buying everything in there. And little by little, I bought everything there was down there. And I kicked them out.
Yeah.
And
over a deer. Like it was triggered and started over
that deer.
180-inch deer.
And look, we don't speak to this day. That's 25 years ago. 20 years ago. We don't speak to this day. And I mean,
both of y'all are probably reasonable individuals too. Could probably be sitting here today.
Yeah. And I try to get over it. I've never been arrested a day in my life or anything. Yeah. But it was over the deer. The deer started the snowball.
The rift.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And what happened was the deer had been shot with a bow right under his neck and cut him. And it was rough. I didn't eat the meat. I remember that to this day because it's
infected.
It's infected, yeah. But it burnt the cape. I had to get another cape for it.
So they had shot the deer. One of them
had shot the deer with a bow. And it's like we was talking about. Things happen. But Dave,
it's always more to the story.
It's more to the story. I won on that one, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'd have to go there. I'll tell you what I did do.
So let me make a point here.
I sold the place.
All right. See,
yeah.
The deer made them react in such a way that caused a chain of events. So the deer, you ultimately had a neighbor that really got put out because that land that they were leasing got bought.
I bought.
And so that all escalated. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes and
it made me
these things start a chain of events. Sometimes they damage relationships, and it puts you in a position.
Yeah.
It's just
And
there's a dark side to big deer like that.
and I try to be a fair person. I mean, I'm stern, but I try to be. But I was so hurt and mad, embarrassed. You know, your mom and daddy tell you all your life, look, son, don't go. You know, do whatever you do, don't go to jail.
That's right.
You ask to go to jail, you stay in
life to where you don't have to worry about it.
And
you got put in a position to where
I was back against the corner. But I tell you this, it wasn't good for about 4 or 5 years. I did a lot of stuff.
I'm gonna say you won.
Yes, I was victorious, but it really wasn't a win.
Yeah. Looking back on it now,
No,
would you have done the same thing?
probably, yeah. but just because I can't lose, you know, if I lose less.
Well, that's what it is. Human beings by nature are competitive.
Yeah, let's go.
And that's a lot. Yeah, that ties into your story.
It's going to be some jealousy involved in everything,
especially a deer.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody that hunts is hunting for the unicorn.
Yeah.
You dream about it at night. You know, this bigger than life creature that you've never seen, but you've heard about and seen pictures of, and maybe even held horns of somebody else killed or something else. But that's what anybody that hunts. You may shoot a spike one afternoon, but everybody claim they're going to be a trophy hunter.
that's right.
They looking for if
We don't put all these cameras out
200-inch deer
and feed all this stuff and do all these leases we don't do all that to kill a 6-point.
Yeah.
Right?
Look, here's the point. To that point, there's a reason why when the game wardens go out and put out the dummy deer,
They can't put the
it
huge
can't
racks.
be so big.
Entrapment.
Because even
Entrapment.
the justice
Yes.
system and the law knows that there's a point
Yeah.
where a reasonable, ethical, honest
You
person
put this one on there,
would.
you gonna get me. I mean,
So
Yeah,
to that goes to the point that validates what we're saying. Like there's a point. These unicorns, these giant deer, bring out.
Back to the point.
I don't want to say the worst, but
how many deer do you think are that big in the state of Mississippi on any given year?
not many. Not many.
a dozen.
I wouldn't give it that many. I bet
wouldn't.
you count on one hand.
Ain't no doubt. I agree with you.
200-inch deer,
I agree with you.
and I don't care whose property it's on, what part of the state it's in, from
The Delta,
Memphis to Gulfport.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's less. You know, we never even talked about a 200-inch deer. You know, back then it was a 140. I mean, that was it's not even now. You know, it's not talked about. David, look, you the only one standing here that's killed a 190 over 190. I mean that. Let's kind of get to
it. Was actually it was accident. It was been on the place for a really long time, and
what, 23 years.
Yeah. And you know, we didn't manage it for trophy deer. It was, I would say, more of a good time place to hunt. You know, 130s. We'd hoop and holler and high five.
Shoot hogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in a good area. You're in an area that grow big deer.
Yeah.
And there were big deer kills, some 170s killed
Around
in that area, and we killed some 150s range. But at the end of the day, you know, we didn't set out to, hey, we fixing to grow this.
We're gonna set marigold rules.
Yeah. We're gonna kill
combine.
190s. Yeah, you didn't set out to kill 190s.
And this isn't a hunting club. This was a private deal that was part of a farming situation, and some buddies took it over and the hunting parts of it. But anyway, long story short, never been managed for trophy deer. I mean, I can go to different places and see where the deer are managed, and it's different. You know?
But y'all would shoot lots of deer for the farmer because it's eating the crops. I mean, y'all would shoot does.
You keep in mind, you back up 5 years before I killed this deer, the corn and the beans got to the point to where they were more valuable than the deer were. So that's when the defamation permits come out, and we hurt the place.
Yeah.
Y'all pulled the herd back, and no doubt. We went from...
Because you're a long-range shooter anyway. You love to shoot long.
And, I mean, but when the animal that's eating your crop up is getting in your pocketbook more so than normal, I mean, farmers work on a 5-year average. You know, they're going to hit 1 year out of 5, and they just got to make enough the 1 year to survive the next 4. So and I'm not a farmer, but this
Right.
is what farmer buddies tell me. But we pull the herd down. So in that case, you back up to the year I killed the deer. It had been about 4 or 5 years since that
It's
happened.
like 2020, something like
2020.
that. Yeah.
So we didn't see as many deer for the next 3 or 4 years. Didn't shoot does to speak of. If a kid wanted to shoot something, we 100% they shot it. And we went from killing ever how many bucks to 2 or 3 bucks a year off the place. And it wasn't anything that was any rules or nothing. If you want to shoot a 6
To make you happy.
if it flipped you switch,
And you
killed it.
carried your daughter hunting, Carolina.
Absolutely.
I mean, y'all,
I had kids growing
like,
up,
yeah.
and
And
I let them
Nathan,
smoke anything.
I guess Nathan, all of them grew up hunting down there, didn't they?
Yep. So you get to that point, and the land's only going to carry so much. You're a land manager. You know all this.
Yeah.
There's only so much carrying capacity there. We had hogs we dealt with. We trapped hogs, and, man, we thought we was smoking them. We was catching like 250 hogs a year, and,
Right.
man, we making a dent in them, and we ain't touched them.
Yeah.
Well,
Y'all
we
was
ain't
running.
touched
Y'all was chasing your tail.
them. Right, but we felt good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and give something during the summer.
Yeah.
And we ended up with a group of big deer. And
It was what, 5 or 6 of them in one
5,
group,
6,
wasn't it?
7 in a bachelor group there. And they'd been seen the year before, and things have happened to where farming operation come through and we jumped the deer up, saw them, and hey, there's some big deer down there.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't think a whole lot about it.
Right.
Big deer is different to different people.
That's right.
How
But
many
one
people-
guy specifically told you 2 biggest deer I've ever seen in my life.
and he knows what deer looks like, and I took his
Word.
his knowledge
Yeah.
at more face value than I do some, because I get people say, I saw 180
Yeah.
deer.
Throw them
get
hands
that.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
They
And,
throw them 36-inch hands up.
yeah, and 180-inch deer can be look about like this if he's running real fast across.
That's right.
Running across the road.
Yeah.
So anyway, got to
The next
the
year.
next year. Deer showed up there, and we'd getting pictures of him. I didn't personally have cameras in the area, but it come up, and the guys I was hunting with, they had pictures of him, and it was
And the word got around.
word got around, and to me, I was just want to go kill it.
Go kill it.
Somebody go kill it. As long as one of us get it, it doesn't
2 of them
matter.
were really excited about it, killing it, trying to kill it, and this, that, and other.
So
And
it
with that
was a lot
many
more-
good deer, you had to feel like even if one of these guys killed the big,
We had
that
more other ones.
third
to-
best deer, there's still a 150 plus.
That's
right.
Still, everybody's
Right.
got opportunity to kill a good deer, probably.
Right.
Keep in mind, I'm setting a story to where in that area, it was, I don't know, the perfect year. The temperatures in summer were
Had to
were
have been perfect
mild.
for them. Yeah.
There was a lot of big deer killed in this
Around.
area.
Yes.
Like 10 or 12 in a 10-mile radius
Right.
of this area.
Yep.
Never happened again. Never happened before then. And
Right.
it would be a one-off.
Because they killed them all back. Fewer
Yeah.
miles on that sucker.
Yeah.
And that may have something to do
That had
with it.
help. Yeah.
So
There was some guys really hunting it hard with a bow.
they are.
Yeah.
And one of the guys had an opportunity, got a shot at it, and hit the deer, hit something.
Yeah.
And they tracked him, and it was next to a lagoon, and thought he went in the lagoon. I mean, it was to the point where
Oh, he got in your
cynical. Mind he's
Yeah.
fixed to drain the lagoon.
And he's a
Get
good
out.
hunter too.
Yeah,
That was a
absolutely.
good hunter. And
Absolutely.
I knew about it before I knew you. I knew the story because he called me and he showed me that video.
Hmm?
And he said, Chris, what do you think about this deer? I was like, good God almighty. And I said, man, that is, he said, I'm trying, I want to kill him with a bow. He's a good hunter. He said, I want to kill him with a bow.
Hmm?
Well, I didn't know there was another hunter down there hunting him.
Hunting
that wanted
hard,
to kill him,
too.
hunting him hard, and
Yeah.
and they were kind of clashing and trying to kill this deer.
Well, so the
It's
first time I
hard
laid
to
eyes
kill a
on-
190 when there's a 160 and 150 running with him, too. 'cause
Right.
You got to be
Right.
prepared
to let a 170
to let
go.
him. That's right.
And a world class 6-point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
mean, he was bigger than both of them, body wise.
he was the bull of the bunch.
Right,
I
he
mean, he's the
bullied them
one that
around.
pushed everything off the
Yeah,
Man.
the food there.
yeah.
So anyway, story goes on. The
So that would have been October when he missed it.
middle October range. My daughter and I was coming out one afternoon on a 4-wheeler and was coming by the lagoon levee, and he's standing up on the levee of the lagoon.
Just
And we're looking at him through the headlights on the four-wheeler, and it's like, oh, shit, this is
Yeah.
this is bigger.
This is something different than we expected.
Yeah.
right.
This is-
We've never seen this.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
This is new.
And so fired her up, and to this day, I wish she'd have killed the deer.
Ain't no question. You've told me that. You've told me that
Since
15
day one.
times. Yeah.
You know, this story don't end without,
Yeah.
I wish it did end there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Little heartache.
So, and that's back to what this whole thing's about, is a little heartache. And so we go on, and she wants to go in this area where the deer is. And I'm like, no,
Too much heat up there.
yep,
Yeah.
just let it go. And
Because you knew
it'll be another one
it would
day
be
down the road.
controversy because three
Right.
people would be trying to hunt in a 10-acre spot that deer was staying in.
She's young.
Yeah.
She'll have an opportunity to hit another good deer in her lifetime.
Right.
You know. So we she don't go in there. Well, I get a call from one of my buddies in high school one Friday afternoon. I'm at work, and he had got a place here in town, and said, "Hey, I'm gonna be by myself. None of the kids coming with me." Said, go out and get a steak tonight, and we'll stay at the camp. Yeah, that'd be good. So I go pack my stuff up, my head there, and we go out to eat. And he bought 60 acres, and it's his little family land. His kids hunt on it and everything else. So we go to bed that night, and I'm thinking no more about this deer than anything in the
Because y'all had not seen him whole month of November,
Right. He was gone.
December, 1st December. Nobody's even seen him.
As far as we know,
We
he's
thought he
dead,
was
in,
dead.
In the lagoon.
We thought he was dead. The boy that shot him swore
So
he
the
was
shot was after you and your daughter saw it.
Yeah.
Okay.
dead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, after. Yeah, they'd saw
got
it
you.
before. Yeah.
Okay.
So I may have missed that part of the story, but yeah, it was
Yeah, it was after.
that he shot at it. So we, I get up the next morning, and Mike's wanting me, hey, let's go, come on, let's go get out here on stands behind the house. I said, no, man, I'm not going to your place.
Yeah.
I said, something will come out, and I probably don't have it in me not to shoot it.
Yeah.
And
Just don't want to get put in that position.
right. And I mean,
So far, he's got the right disposition. He's got perspective better than.
But this is how he is.
Yeah.
I work with him. This is how he's not trying to up somebody.
Yeah.
If he can help you kill
I'm
it,
picking up on that.
that's how Dave is now. I'm just telling you.
they deer. I mean,
They-
come on.
that's right. They ain't humans.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I've done this my whole life for fun. I've had just much fun over a spike as I had over a 200-inch deer.
Right.
I've actually had more fun over a spike than I have 200-inch deer.
Ain't no doubt.
And
a lot less feelings.
So go ahead
Yeah.
about I didn't mean to cut you
So-
on that one.
we, Mike gets up. He says, well, I'm going to hunt my place. I said, look, let's go to the farm. Let's go out there and you can hunt me. And Mike's hunted with me before. He said, no, man, I really want to hunt my place. Just stay
Because
here
at
with
the
me.
point you knew there was 4 or 5 more big deer
Right.
down
And
there somewhere.
we talked about it the night before. I said, look, we've got some good deer.
Yeah.
And he said, no. I said, all right, well, I'm going to the farm. So it was 5 miles across town, so I leave. So we pull up there that morning, and guy I hunt with, he's sitting there at the Connex where we got the four-wheelers parked, and he said, you don't know it, but you got a picture of the big deer last night. I said,
Y'all
the big
ain't seen
deer?
it.
I said, the one that we said, oh, yeah, he's back on us. I said, well, hell, let's go get him. So
How far is that away from where the bow? was?
1.3 miles.
God,
mile and a
almighty.
quarter.
That pressure pushed him.
Yeah.
Had to.
So
And
we
he
may,
was off
we
above-
may
he was
circle
further
back.
than that.
We may
You know,
circle
the
back to the
3.8.
whole. You don't know it yet, but you got a picture of him.
yeah. So let's hear. That's
kinda interesting.
The story's really good. How he kills it.
So we go down there, and there's cutover involved, and we get on one side of the cutover, and we're in some hardwoods there where it's kind of open, and both these places we went are 100 yards or so off the edge of the cutover, and the deer coming out of the cutover, that's what they're set up to hunt.
So y'all was figuring that big boy was gonna come out. Either
Right.
you was gonna get a shot, or the other guy would get a shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Time frame is like what
We got there. I got there 6:30.
in the month like,
Oh,
in the,
December
like it's
the
in
5th.
rut. So you're not hunting
December
rut or
5th.
anything.
This
This
is
is
not
the
rut.
before rut.
Pre-rut.
I'm not. It's the pre-rut.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that the does aren't a factor into this, because there was a doe laying close to the stand. I jumped her up when I got in there, 2 other bucks showed up there. One of them got interested in
That's
her.
2.5, 3 weeks before you really see our big deer chasing.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And where I hunt, it's December the 20th to January the 5th is usually our
Hot
rut
time.
range.
Yeah.
Okay.
But y'all know deer.
Yeah, you may.
The rut starts when the velvet comes off.
When old gals starts
If one
dancing.
comes right, it's right. And I'm not saying that he was chasing her, but he headed in the direction that she went off in. Well, I'm in the stand there, and like I say, I got the one that run off the second buck. The first buck run off, then the second buck still, he's 20 yards from the base of the tree, and these are 13 to 15 inch 8 points. I mean, one of them's probably 3.5-year-old deer, and I'm not too proud to say it. If it had been a normal day, I'd have probably shot him.
Yeah.
And been
If you wouldn't have known that bigger
Big
deer
deal
was there.
Yeah.
the word was there. He was there. Still, it's a snowball's chance in hell. He's got
Ain't no
any
doubt.
direction he can
He
walk
could have had
out.
thousands of acres in that bottom. I know that bottom.
Yeah,
He could have went anywhere.
anywhere. I mean, just because you got a picture of him at 8 o'clock one night,
It
don't mean
don't
he's
mean-
going to be there at daylight the
I
next
agree.
morning. So,
But I'm gonna
I
tell
am
you,
the
I don't
luckiest-
know.
Them
It kinda
stars,
feels like-
them stars was lining up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am probably the luckiest individual on that particular day
Yeah.
as it was. So I look up, and like I say, I got one standing 20 yards from me, and look up, and here he comes out of the edge of the cutover, walking toward me.
God damn.
And, I'm sitting there, just don't screw this up. And I'm
And you're a good shot
trying
by
to-
nature.
Yeah. And,
I mean, you shoot 1,000-yard shot easy, and he's what, 100 yards?
yeah. So we'll get off on that. So the deer's walking toward me there, and I pick a spot, and I said, all right, when he steps in this opening, I'm going to take my chance. He steps in there. I put it on his front shoulder, pull the trigger. And the deer didn't act like I wanted to because he didn't lay down.
Yeah.
And I was expecting him to lay down. Well, he turns and starts going back away from me, and I'm putting another bullet in the gun, trying to get back on him. At this point, I'm slinging lead till the gun runs out.
Yeah.
Can't get another shot. So hunting buddy calls me, and did you get him? I said, man, I think so, but I don't have my
Them
hands.
calls come in quick too when
Yeah.
you're hunting that big deer.
Yeah.
So I get down, walk over there, and it's like the worst nightmare ever. I'm not even sure I'm in the right spot at this point. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
that's
damn
right.
sure.
Your mind. Hey, it's like the
This-
Yeah.
this-
Man, look, you second guess everything.
yes, and
And I'm walking down through there. I can't find no blood. I can't find
your
tracks.
heart's just doo-doo.
And I walk up a little piece, and I hear gurgling. And I look back over my shoulder, and literally he's laying 25 yards. I walk past
just
him,
looking at you.
and he's got his head up. No, he's looking away from me.
Yeah.
He don't know I'm in the world.
Yeah.
And it was like instinct. I turned, and I shoot him again.
Pull that old Delta move.
Yeah.
That panther swamp.
Yeah.
Old South Delta. Old Rolling Fork. Old
Yeah.
Rolling Fork shuffle.
So the deer's laying there on the ground, and I take a picture of him. Hunting buddy comes up, and we hooping and hollering, and this is
Yeah.
what everybody that hunts dream is to
Wanted
kill
to do.
this
Yeah.
deer. And we took more pictures and everything else, and it rolled on. And I wasn't going to tell this part of the story, but I'm going to put this plug in, and hope Caroline forgives me for this, but it is what it is. So she's my hunting buddy.
Ain't no
At the
doubt.
time, she's my 15-year-old daughter.
She's just like I do with Marty Kate and
Right.
I go
She's
with
been
you all the
hunting with
time.
me
Yeah.
since I was. She
does
was
everything
4 or
with you.
5 years
Carpenter
old.
work, yeah.
Everything.
Build
So-
knives.
She had a soccer game that day. I took a picture of the deer. The deer's still taking its last breath. Sent it to her. So it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and I get the text back. Why?
Yeah. She had it on her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
And in
I could-
fairness, it's fair to react like that.
It is.
You know what I mean? So,
It's the first
yeah,
instinct.
that's right. So
I
I want
wanted
to put
it,
that out
Daddy.
there.
I want-
Absolutely, yeah.
Daddy,
and
you got all these deer.
That is fair as it gets.
Marty
There's
Kate's done
nothing-
the same
yeah.
thing to me. Daddy, you got all these deer. Let me shoot it. Okay. I mean, don't me. I'm toting all his sacks in there. But yeah, go ahead. Back's gimped up.
But that took a lot of the luster out of it for me at that point.
Yeah.
Anybody else in the world,
That's right.
I don't care.
But she meant that much to you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. And
Chris, I love you, but if you'd have got mad at him for killing 200 deer,
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I
I hate you got mad.
right. I may have walked around like O.J. Simpson, rode around with old gun, Brent Drive. I'm gonna hold around. With a gun.
And so a big part of that is a reflection of how much it would have meant to you for her to kill him.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing. Don't lose. I don't want anybody to lose that in it. That's
I would 1,000,000 times over rather her kill it than I ever killed it.
But the lot of the story is the lease was taken.
And it always
The
gets,
lease was pushed.
gets complicated
They were
after.
mad.
it gets
Look,
complicated
and that's-
after that.
Other people, cameras were stuck on top of other cameras. Other deer were being killed and not told about. I mean, it just starts a snowball of negativity.
Yeah, you start to find out after the fact as people start to talk. You start to find out.
And he kept
information
it
starts
quiet.
coming.
Let me tell you how quiet it is. Me and him worked around each other for a full year.
I remember you telling me.
I knew the story from the guy
He told me the story.
that missed it. He sat over there.
That's the funniest part.
Yeah, no,
is
he's
that
sitting over there on his computer, and I'm telling the
He's
story
in there
like
telling
I
a
do.
Chris story. Da, 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 da.
Oh, I did. I said, hell, man, that
That's
big deer.
all-
No, I said, that big deer and some damn jackass from out of town killed the damn thing. He looked back and said, hell, I'm that jackass. I said, what? He said, he got his phone. He looked. I said, that's it. He said, well, I know I killed it. I was like, no, let me see that. And I said, well, I know he didn't crop himself in there. And but he never said a word. And
Literally, I kept the deer out that day.
yeah.
I got the horns. It got worse for my daughter as the day went on. And I literally stuck the horns in the closet for a month and a half until I carried them back to the taxidermist to get him out.
Just want to look at it.
I didn't want I hated that damn deer.
It was done.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the turmoil.
And
guys.
140-inch deer
Would never
wouldn't have
cost.
done that.
No.
No.
Y'all have been high-fiving.
Absolutely.
100%. I have no doubt about that.
It happened
Everybody-
every year before then.
That's why we're talking about it.
Yep.
These giant deer have a dark side.
Ain't no question. And you look at everything that revolves around all three stories have a common denominator. Snowball effects.
Big ass deer.
Snowball effects
Well,
Yeah.
start over.
Yeah,
It's
a
human nature.
reaction, like a response.
Yeah.
There's hurt feelings, then there's a response, and then it escalates.
And then it's anger.
That's right.
Then it becomes anger, and then it becomes like, why are you mad at me? I mean, and it's there ain't a day goes by that you look at that deer. Because when I come to your house, I mean, I stood up there because you know how much I love a deer.
Yeah.
And I just stood there, and I know David thought, hey, he's a damn weirdo. But I just stood there. I wasn't doing no rubbing. I was just standing there looking. And I was just standing there looking at that deer, how beautiful it was. And the guy mounted does 100% one of the best.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a perfectionist.
Yeah. He showed the couple I mounted. I mounted with him. In
Yes,
the shot.
and he's a
good.
perfectionist. And for me to see that deer.
He's meticulous.
Yes, but it was so, I mean, it's still one of the prettiest deer.
It's once in a lifetime, though. It's what every hunter dreams about. And
But it comes
to
with a
this
price tag.
day, if I had the option of not pulling trigger that day,
You would have opted.
I would have let that deer go.
Man, I
and
would-
I have told
You'd
my
have shot
daughter,
that 13-inch 8-point.
Yeah, I would have.
But we all talk about, you didn't know you was going to go hunting that day. If you didn't go hunting, somebody else probably could have killed that deer.
Might would
And
have
that's-
never known. Yeah,
that's one thing.
it would have got killed probably that
would've got
day. It's
killed.
on property, on camera.
I told her, I said, he's in our living room. You can have him one day, or you can have him today. I don't care. You can do whatever you want to with him. If you don't like him, we'll cut his horns off,
But
throw
if
him in the garbage. I don't care.
But David,
But just
just
one.
like that deer, you see these type of deer one time in a lifetime if you're in the right place.
Yeah.
And if you don't capitalize, if you don't make the shot count, if you don't make that extra journey, I told that climbing tree standing there 3/4 of a mile when I killed that deer. If I didn't make that extra step,
Yeah, look,
no memories.
and now with so many fragmented properties and so many cameras,
Oh, you never.
you are not the only one hunting that deer.
That's right.
No.
Like there were neighbors, there were people not just in your lease or not just, I mean, there were people hunting these deer. And
You don't get a deer of that caliber and say, "Oh, that's just an average deer." You know,
Yeah, no.
A 200-inch deer is a big
and
deer.
here's the sad part. To get this deer to this size, you can't not shoot.
You gotta
it
pass on.
50.
Yeah, you got to pass on
150s.
160.
You got to pass. That's right. You got to pass on 160, which not going to happen.
Hey, and one of the other guys that was hunting it, Mike would have killed him if he had passed on because he had already killed.
That's right. Yeah. That's
Think
correct.
about it. You know,
And I mean, in that whole scenario, it happens every day. It happens, and how
But
much
Chris,
does
we
it
didn't
happen?
do anything special
No,
to grow that deer.
no.
It was just circumstance.
It was, but
It was lined up
somehow
with
genetics,
But you know the
birthdays.
crazy part? That deer got past y'all for years, and I don't know how, but he did, or he imprinted over to the soybeans, and you got a hold of him. We don't know. They're
or he jumped.
They're free range.
Or he jumped.
Or somebody,
One of those
yeah.
deer that took a big jump one year.
Or he
you
was
know?
a true superstar that we talk about, and he had the perfect. David and him shot all them deer down for the last 3 years. He got everything, and there it goes.
Yep. You got everything you needed for that year.
And you know, when you see a guy that misses one of these deer, you're sick.
So the sheds off him was like a 168 the year before.
So he did.
I
take
can
a
100%
jump. He
assure
jumped.
you, if a 168-inch deer walked past anybody at the farm,
He would have got killed.
he was gone.
Yeah. If the opportunity come up,
Yeah.
he'd have been shot.
Yep.
And look, we'd have been running around town till it weren't showing a 168.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I'm telling you, these deer are just, they're so rare. They're like you said, a unicorn. I mean, they're just a rare machine.
Yeah. And yeah.
Especially for us.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier when we first started out that there's sort of the far end, the far extreme of that spectrum is people who get outside the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see those every so often. You see those on the internet. It'll be somebody with a big deer,
That
and then all
guy
of a sudden the
shoots one in
story
Cade
doesn't
Cove.
add up.
Yeah.
The guy that killed one on the campus of Holmes
I remember
a couple
that,
years
yes.
ago.
And they went and got it.
Yeah, but people, and this is my point, people are aware of these deer. There's really, there may be a few, but there's not many secret deer like this, and
it's
people are
really-
aware.
And a lot of times it's not hunters. It's
That's
people
right.
that
This
watch.
wasn't hunters. These were
Right.
people watched them. So,
You see them,
yeah, if
people.
you think
have a
about the
love for
deer on Macon Gravely's place,
Oh, yeah.
very visible deer, people take photographs of them. So,
People watch them.
if you're hunting one of these deer, and I'll say this, if you're hunting one of these deer and you step outside the law, if you do something
A little shaky.
and you kill it, it's probably it's gonna come out. People are watching
It's
them.
gonna
People, I
get
mean, it's gonna get you. It's especially now. The caveat there is if you don't get on Facebook.
No.
Yeah.
And it's
I agree.
hard
Yeah.
to keep something like that secret.
Well, it takes.
It depends on where it hits, though. Like it hit me, I put the horns in the closet for a month and a half, didn't look at them.
But you think about it. You're of the age.
Didn't tell nobody about it either.
But your age.
You got a little South Delta in you though. Y'all sneaky by nature.
They a little sneaky, on, especially crappie. Him and Robbie sit there and catch you every crappie in the hole. You won't say nothing, but they will feed you one.
Yeah, that's that show
David-
tar. That's that show tar in him.
But David, you, as a person, you ain't a big Facebooker.
I don't know.
You ain't an Instagrammer. You was already knew there was some tension. You just got it away,
Yep.
And
And
it-
don't
and it-
have to leave it alone.
and it died. But I knew the story, and a lot of people knew the bits of the story, but they never knew the story.
Yeah, and the irony there is, it sounds like from talking to you that you weren't all tore up with this deer.
I don't know.
Like you were
I didn't
pretty
have
well
a sense.
resigned to the fact that these guys are hunting it really hard. They're local. They're closer. They're probably gonna kill it.
Well, I may be in a different part of hunting life too.
That's
And-
right.
and granted-
There is the evolution of a hunter. 100%. I agree with that.
And like I started off, I've been just as happy over a spike that a kid killed as I had over
Yeah.
a big deer. Now, granted, I'm looked like everybody else in the world. Big deer come by, that's the one I want. I'm not
Ain't no
shooting
question.
a down spike when
That's
140-inch deer is
That's
down
right.
the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
But like you,
it wasn't my heart and soul
Yeah.
to kill this deer. I didn't lay awake at night wondering, I wonder where he's going to be tomorrow.
yeah.
Guarantee you that I guarantee you a couple folks were.
Oh, ain't no doubt about that. You start throwing cameras on top of other ones.
On top of the
you
camera
told
here,
me-
I'm gonna
but
put
you
my
told
camera
me
above your
something.
camera.
It ain't just started leasing. I mean,
He showed me a video of the deer, a trail camera video, and I can see another camera in the back behind
no
it.
doubt, watching it. So David, granddaddy, killed some huge deer. David's got them at his house.
Really?
And David told me today, it's pretty cool. He said, part of the people thought my granddaddy was a legend for killing these big deer. I mean, they're 160-inch deer. And
170 inches.
170
Main
inches, that
frame.
one. Main frame, 170. I mean, when you walk in, you look at Dave's deer, then you look at this, and you say, I think I want to kill either one of these. and that's back, what, in the 60s, 70s? 80s?
81 and 83.
Yeah, that's how big a deer he killed.
Man.
But David said around town, he was either a local hero or a turd.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
how
it.
people
That's
think.
how it
Yeah.
is.
So, you know, you got a grumpy folks over deer, man.
Yeah.
You get some grumpy cats rolling.
And I can assure you, my grandfather, the biggest thing I remember when he called and told me he killed a big deer was how big the neck roast was. It stayed in the sink. It had nothing to do with the whole.
He was crock-potting it. He
Yeah.
wanted that neck roast. Well, I'm going to tell you that one would have had a good one.
And he's 20,
Brent, it's
21 and a quarter, 21 and a half inches wide.
tines like that.
I killed one that was like 21 and 3/4 one time.
Yeah.
He had a little short tines, spindly horn, 130-inch deer.
Yeah.
I go, well, you killed one bigger than I did. I said, Paul,
no.
Hey, how this works.
But man, that's good, Brent.
Yeah, and look, the takeaways.
I've been excited about telling these stories.
It's so relatable
because I had to talk to this guy. This guy, he didn't, you know.
Yeah, he's apprehensive. He came in, and this is what we do. A lot of times we do a podcast here. We're gonna cook, and we're gonna sit around and visit, and we're gonna talk before we podcast.
Yeah, because I don't want anything.
And as humble and meek about this deer, what you saw us sitting here was the same way. Like genuinely, I mean, 100%. What he said is, I believe it 100%. Like,
ain't no
take that deer, leave it. Had to do it over
Yeah.
again. He ain't shooting that deer that day.
I'll put it this way. I have not shot a deer in the past 2 years or since then until my daughter and my hunting buddy
Killed
hunt
one
with
first.
Kill
Yeah.
a deer first.
Yep.
But now,
I
you
spent
know,
most of
and
the season looking for them deer to hunt.
That's right.
And both of them, well, why didn't you shoot it? Well, I didn't.
I done run that game
Yeah.
one time.
I didn't want to shoot
Hey,
it.
Dave did
I
that
don't
on-
want that text again. Send
Yeah.
a screenshot of that text. That's why I didn't
If
shoot
it wasn't big enough for you, how come you didn't
That's
shoot it?
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you know, I don't think we really hit on it, but there's also the fallout from that. We talk about the dark side of them. The fallout from that is you're not hunting all that ground anymore, right?
No.
I mean, so that's some of the things we talked about. Like
And
things
it's
change.
kinda
Those
like
big
that-
deer.
Snowball effect, man.
Yeah.
And nothing good comes out of it.
Hunting it for over 20 years.
When
You had it.
people get jealous, nothing good comes out of the end result. I think we can agree with that. Don't
That's
you
right.
agree? Because it's all over. You did it and I didn't.
yep.
And
Jealous,
and,
competitive,
yeah.
human nature in general.
Yeah.
On
Or
some
I got the
people, on
means.
some people.
I got the
It's hard
means.
for
I can
somebody to
secure it
have-
where I won't have to deal with this next time.
Look,
next time there's a 190, I won't have to deal with
I
it.
know people that'll walk that church aisle with that offering plate, but hit you with that cowboy boot over that
Over
deer.
deer.
Yeah. And look, one of my guys, and I love him this day, and we worked together for 20-something years, and one of the best Christian guys I've ever been around. He see a deer, he's gonna shoot out the window truck, kill it, and it don't matter who's it on. And I told him, I said, I got him good. You know, he'd always get on me. I may cuss a little bit, this every once in a while, and he gets on me. Oh man, you know, you sound right. I said, well, how about them deer you shot off them 3 people on the way over here? I said, you think that's stealing? I mean, I hit him back with a little Christianity. You know, Southern Baptists can get on each other. Like that.
Yeah.
So,
rules for thee, not for me.
But deer in general, bring out the worst in people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look,
but
it's different
I'm gonna say
even.
this before we get off. I have had more positive experience with deer
No question.
in my lifetime
Yes.
with deer that other people's killed,
Yes.
I've killed.
Yes.
The camaraderie, the friendships. We wouldn't be sitting here today if we
That's
didn't
right.
have a passion
The game.
for the same
That's
thing.
right. That's right.
And,
But
and everybody
Brent-
dreams for this.
Yeah.
But once you obtain it, sometimes it's bittersweet.
I would love for
side.
somebody listening to this that can relate to this, maybe pick up the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's hurt feelings and there's things that you can undo.
If something
I mean,
And you know what? I probably ought to do that too.
I don't know. That guy that's a sandwich head.
I don't know, man.
You can put you in jail, brother.
Yeah, if it hadn't been for that mugshot.
Yeah.
What number were you?
And now Brent, here's the problem. Now Brent will go find it, and then we'll have next time there'll be 4 or 5 people walk in, me holding that old sign.
I'll Photoshop you that mugshot of Nick Cage on that movie Raising Arizona.
I'll have me on there with my head sideways.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It's a we got to be able to talk about it. That's why we do this podcast.
Yeah, and look, I would even say
about
I was having a conversation with one of my brothers. We were talking about this on the phone the other night, and he knows how I am, how passionate I am about turkey hunting. And he's like, I'm surprised this isn't, he said, what about turkeys? Turkeys, thank God, turkeys, you don't really have that trophy element to turkey.
Right.
That's right.
An adult turkey is a trophy.
Yeah.
So I could see, now you could get bent up over turkey
fence,
rights,
a
turkey
fence,
access.
a
That's
fence
right.
jumper.
That's right. A turkey property, but a one-on-one game.
Yeah.
There's nothing in hunting that trumps that.
This brings more money than anything in the
From
States.
management, land,
Well, you agree
the
that?
economy around this right here.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I agree.
Golly, man, that
Well, let's talk
sucker's
about
so
this.
big.
Perspective-wise.
Look, I got a big head. Look at that time.
I know. Got a head on you.
How many deer do we think are that size in the state of Mississippi at the start of this hunting season?
Y'all, I said a dozen, y'all shot me out of the water.
Well, it's been a bad year drought-wise. You know that on everything. But and I was talking today, and a fella pulled the old and pulled out a picture of a 160 something that was killed up in Monroe County. But yeah,
and
Dave,
not poo-pooing on a 160.
A 190.
Oh, that's just a whole different.
It's a ghost.
It is.
Yeah.
You're hunting a ghost, and
But David, look, I know it wasn't probably not the easiest conversation to come in and have, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming in and talking to us. And a first-hand story goes a long way.
well, and a guy as good as he is, unselfish, to kill it. In my eyes, you won.
Yeah. And there was
You feel different about it, but my eyes, you won.
There was probably a lot more drama around that story, and he
That we
cleaned it
can't
up. And he's
talk
a good dude. He's this is a good fella, and he kept it. He stayed on the high road, and I
Look, we all got to stay there. I need to do it more probably. But
look. As we're talking, I'm thinking about a few other deer. I think about the Lonnie Price deer that got that fella double drop tine deer, got him kicked out of a club.
yeah, I mean,
It
160,
happens.
but biggest thing that ever killed.
Biggest
guess what?
thing in that area.
They
The
seen
next
him-
year,
seen him
look, they
walking
found
paper.
a reason to kick him out of that club.
It's weird. It's
Look,
I'll
I'll tell you exactly what happened. And before we wrap up, I was at the time was going to church with the club president. He was proud of him. That Lonnie Price. It was after church one night. We caught him the other night. We heard him shoot. We was waiting there by his truck. He came out with I think the club rule was 6-point or better, and this deer was a 5-point, but it had something broke off.
Yeah.
He didn't check it in. What? You're waiting on this truck?
he didn't have time.
And hey, look, they called a board meeting and kicked him out.
But that was all over that big deer.
All over that big deer.
It's listen. There are going to be
Human nature.
people listening to this podcast going to say, "I remember Uncle Ralph's deer."
I hope so,
That
because this
jackleg
feels
down the
like
road, yes,
it felt like this would be very relatable
It is.
and no doubt entertaining. I hope it's been entertaining. We tried to not throw anybody on the bus. We didn't want to exploit anybody.
The respect of the animal.
That's it.
You know, Dave said it best on petting those turkeys and looking at you look at different. The respect of that animal.
Yeah, it's a lot like you respect
My
what it takes for that deer to get there.
I'm not giving up on this. There'll be one day we'll get to score this deer, and I mean that's just time.
Yeah.
Time heals.
Good.
All right,
All right, man. Let's wrap it up.
Enjoy it.
Thank you for coming in.
appreciate it.
Enjoy it.
Thank you.
We'll see y'all on the next one.